Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we please go back to the meeting minutes? And I didn't capture the names of who motioned and seconded the approval, because actually the
I did it with by consent, but we go back and do that again.
okay, I'm sorry.
We did the Pledge of Allegiance at 1 o'clock, and then we went through the minutes, and I heard no objections, additions, or corrections, and so I accepted the meeting without dissent. But we can have if you prefer, we can do it with approval, a motion to approve, and then a second. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes. So move.
Who was that?
Richard
motion
Morris
from?
Rowe.
Okay, do we have a second to approve? Please unmute yourself if you're making a second. Well, if it's permissible, I'll second that motion from Richard Morris. So is there any discussion on the minutes? Again, is there any discussion on the minutes or objections or additions, deletions? Hearing none, we'll accept the minutes. All those in favor signify. We'll do a roll call vote. We can record our attendance.
Okay, Mr. Chair, before I move forward with the presentation, I would like to introduce a new member. Here we have like Wendy Burbridge with us. So Wendy, if you can introduce yourself.
Thanks, Aman. My name is Wendy Burbridge. I'm the Director of Development with Habitat for Humanity of Northwest Indiana.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to have you on board.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to learning more.
Okay, thank you.
All right. How about if we go through the roll call vote now? Let's do the roll call vote, Candace, so that we can have your attendance recorded.
Okay.
Certainly,
Is that
Flora will
approving
take care of that.
Sure. Nick Bellar,
Yes.
Brian Blazak,
Remember to unmute.
yes. I'll just go
Yes.
back. Oh, thank you. Richard Morris,
Yes.
George Topple,
Yes.
Jenny Orsburn,
Yes, I'm here.
okay. Let's see. Is Wendy allowed to vote? E-man?
Yes, yeah, she's a member now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Wendy
But usually
Burbridge?
on the minutes, if you're a new member and you weren't at that meeting or hadn't been a member, usually not, but we'll
Oh, okay, I
acknowledge
understand.
your presence.
Oh,
So
okay.
That makes
Okay.
sense
Well, I'll
to me.
acknowledge.
minutes,
All right.
there being no
I think
objections,
we'll
the
vote.
minutes approved unanimously. Let's move on to E-man. So take it away, E-man, please.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and sorry for the trouble of the technology. So I'm happy that everyone is here, or almost everyone is here. So we're getting very close to finally the Sensible Tools Handbook for Indiana. We have completed the final draft. I'm the project manager for this project, and I have a wonderful team working with me. Kathy Luther, she worked with the air quality and brownfield portion of the report. I have also Mitch Barloga, and he did the alternative transportations and also the micro mobility and transportation projects. I have also Joe Excel, and he dealt with the urban forestry and also the septic and water sanitation. And on myself, Iman, I was overseeing the whole project. I did the healthy section, equitable, different things, the TOD within the report, and also updating the one from the 2007. So to go over that, the next one here is talking about the purpose of the handbook, either the older version or the new version. So, first we want it to be compatible with the Indiana planning and zoning law. And also, basically what we did is we wanted all the plan commissioners, planning and zoning administrators or elected officials understand the sensible growth, and also try when they approve any application coming to the plan commissioners or to the council, understand how to approve the application in a more sensitive way for the future growth. So we introduced for them, like a number of practices and tools, either in the 2007 version or in the 21 version. So the one on the left here is the 2007 version, and that was completed. That was my first assignment when I joined NERC here. They gave me this project to be a project manager for that also, and work with the Ball State University, Dr. Eric Kelly and his students. We worked on this document, and we had a wonderful number of questionnaires that helped all the elected officials. And then in between 2007 and 2021, we had a lot of changes that wasn't considered in the first book, and that's why we decided to update it, and came as a recommendation of the 2050 plan update. We have a number of strategies about how to train and educate our communities about the new tools that is happening in the last decade. So that's the next one is now showing the difference between the 2007 and 2021. So in this one, we talked about the comprehensive plan as a foundation, also a sensible growth checkup for public investment, using zoning also to implement the smart growth or sensible growth, how to do the subdivision control and the subdivision approval, what's the best tools for that, growth management tools. And also we have a number of tools about making decisions. So if you have a zoning map amendment, what should you do as elected officials? If you have a POD, a subdivision plat, or a site plan. So, and I'm showing you an example here. And also lately we added the green infrastructure here at NERC like a year later. So what we did here, I'm showing an example. So we prepare by the end of every element questionnaires, and this is a checkup question to determine if you need a comprehensive plan. And like you answer the questions and add point, either no or you add the full points, and you keep adding. So they ask how many copies do you have, and if you are including objective policy strategies within the document. How old is your comprehensive plan, and so on. So it's a number of questions to see if it's time to plan again or not. So people adding these numbers and is showing you, what should you do? If it's 0, of course, you are wonderful. You deserve a planning award because you keep your work up to date. And of course, if your number is so high, between 30 or 40 or more, of course, you need a critical plan. So we have for every item a questionnaire like that. So the elected officials, just before the meeting, take the questionnaires. If they have a site plan review, they have a set of questions, they go over the questions, and that's once they see the application, they can tell right away if the applications is really good or it need improvements. So that was the purpose. And we had like a number of training after the 2007 report was released. So what's the difference here in 2021? We have like a number of desired outcomes. So we want to focus more on walkable and bikeable cities and mixed use. We need like more parks and green space and social gathering spots. Also, we wanted to talk about affordable housing, disaster resiliency. That was all missing from the first book. Also talk about the transit system here and how to promote that. Also renewable energy, how communities, like to start to focus more on renewable energy, and local food system that wasn't also addressed in the first book. And of course, we are now going smart. So we wanted the communities to be transferred to a smart city with the cell towers, fiber optics, autonomous vehicles, and Internet of Things. So these are the desired outcomes in the 2021, and that was the update. First, before I move to the update, all the questionnaires from the 2007 that elected officials or planners should use is being updated, and we have it as appendix B in the new book. So because we had to make a lot of changes related to transportation, land use, zoning, or environment. So that also is being updated. So in this one here, we added the major elements or tools. And we can guess from maybe the logo that Mitch put here. We have the first one showing resilient, and then the second one is healthy, third one sustainable, equitable, and then smart. And here is all the tools that we talked about, and the whole update is going around these 5 tools. So we wanted our communities to be resilient, and to do that, the goal is to present mitigation efforts that should be undertaken to face any natural disaster and how we eliminate that. So we talk about that. We are providing the tools that help the communities to be more resilient. And so we talk about the hazard mitigation and also green infrastructure and stormwater. Healthy, that was a major thing also, and the goal is to integrate health consideration into cities and also in the urban planning process. Within the healthy part or section of the report, so we addressing air quality, water quality, and healthy sanitation, green cities, transportation alternatives, aging population, school siting, safety and sense of security, and transit. The next one is sustainable, and the goal is to direct local governments to become low carbon resilient and livable communities. And in this section, we have like 8 items. I don't need to read it all because we're gonna discuss it later. Equitable, that was very important to add this element. And that's, of course, we wanted to prioritize and protect low-income and minority communities by ensuring equitable growth. And of course, we talk about EJ communities, universal design, equitable transit, transportation projects, how to be equitable. And the last one I have here is the smart. And let me just hide this, I'm sorry. So in a smart, also we wanted to urge communities to shift to smart cities, as I mentioned. So for the first one, the resilient, we discussed, the existing condition where we are, and we see that like we have the rain is really increasing between 5 and 15% in the first half of the century, 1950. It is expected by the end of the century to increase by almost 30%. So we have to be prepared for that. And here, the one on the right here showing the high precipitations here, and the blue is showing is very high, which is over 40% change, and we are within this category. So we really have to be prepared for that. So we look at the hazard mitigation. We have different tools, land use zoning that community could use, incentive programs, policies, and also we have like different tools, the U.S. Climate Resilience Toolkit for the Midwest region especially, and we have the Hoosier Resilience Index, National Risk Index. And of course, we have a coastal hazards here happening. And this is here by the lakefront here at, in Indiana. That's what happened, I think, a couple of years ago. And also this picture also showing the flooding within Indiana. So that's, the report is huge. So I don't want to, every item has a lot of tools. So I'm not going over all of these tools today. So the next one is the green infrastructure. Also, we're talking about the runoff is coming and the pollution coming from that, and then providing some design tools and some modeling tools on that. This one here is showing the adaptation toolkit for sea level rise and coastal land use. This is a very good tools that I came across and I wanted really to include it so it helped communities. So they have planning tools. If you have a comprehensive plan, you know, like how to provide long range planning tool used to guide future development in a community, and then how to implement it. Also, and they have also for the regulations. So if we have zoning and overlay zones, and you know, like how you do that and how you implement it, and so on. And this is, I think it's a very good tools, especially for us here in Northwest Indiana with the floodings that is happening, and also the coastal zone and the rise of the water that happened here with the Lake Michigan. The next one here is the second element, which is healthy. And as I mentioned before, in this one, we have air quality, green cities, transportation alternatives, and the water quality and sanitation. On the right here, showing an example of the more compact you are, and this is an example of Barcelona in Spain, and they have almost the same number of population like Atlanta, but look at the urban area, we have like 162 kilometer square meter, and then we have here like almost 4,280. You know, like it's a huge area, and of course the carbon emission here is 7.5 versus in Barcelona it's 0.7, and that's showing is the more compact that we have, it's a good for our air quality, because people using more public transportation when they have more compact development, not driving. So that's one of the things that really save our air quality. We also talk about the reducing diesel emission, how to do that. And in this map here, also showing the air quality and the respiratory risk area in Indiana, and it's showing here the concentration more in Lake County, and that's a significant issue. And I will show you later another map showing why we're having that. So we have a number of tools for diesel emission and also for auto emissions. Showing here also tools and checklists for energy efficient built environment and how to get the code, and also design off-roadway facility. The more we have charging station, the best for all the future of the electric vehicles. Even trucks now, they try to be, and buses, most of the automobile industry changing to electric vehicles, and we need more charging stations. So we have 320 charging stations within Indiana, which they include almost 811 charging outlets. And the South Shore Clean Cities keep adding that, and adding more charging station within the area. But we also showing here reducing auto emissions and traffic congestion tools. As I mentioned, I'm not gonna read every single word. The next one here is healthy and water quality. And it's showing here the 5 key factors that are essential for a successful septic system. We're trying to avoid the septic system as much as we can, but like we already have some development within the counties that they don't have accessibility of city water and sewer system. So, but like even if you have to use a septic system, there is, you know, like some tools that make it more clean. We have also the green cities, and also we are showing here how your community can be classified as a green cities. And there is an organization already called Wallet Hub. They looked at the communities and the most green communities, and luckily we have Indianapolis ranked number 36 as in the top 100 greenest city, and also Northwest Indiana came within the MSA of the Chicago area and ranked number 65. We have also Fort Wayne ranked number 77, which is, this is like a good news, you know, in the nationwide to have that. So to evaluate this community, look at the environment, and they should have low greenhouse gas emission per capita. They should have a high percentage of green space, good water quality and consumption, and also have a population density, which is a high population density and light pollution level. For the transportation, they look at the low percentage of commuter who drive alone. This is the low of people driving alone, the better that you're going towards the green cities. The walk and bike score, at the highest, the better, of course. Bike share, if you have a bike share program or annual access of fuel consumption. Also, the high number of intersected street. This is like, because encourage walkability, you know, like if you don't have a good intersected street system or good connected network, that's not encouraging people to walk, and that's using more car. And also high accessibility of jobs within 30 minutes transit ride, and a high number of alternative fuel station, and I showed that already. They look at energy sources, the solar one, the wind, and if you have already energy sources within your community. And then the lifestyles, the most farmer market per capita, the more farmer market, the urban agriculture, that's also showing that you're going towards green cities. So it's good that we have at least 3 communities within the top 100. Here's also the map I referred to earlier. And in this map showing the green space per capita in Northwest Indiana. And if you're going more towards a lighter color, which is the green here or the yellow, that means that we don't have a green space. And when I looked at all of this lacking green space areas, it's within the EJ area. And that's something that like maybe communities should consider that. And we have a different programs, we have the community, and communities should take advantage of that and have like a more green space or trees within these areas, because it's better for the air quality too. And we mentioned that in Lake County, it's already, you know, the number of the high respiratory risk, it's concentrated in Lake County, and that's something we need to think about. Also, the intersected street, the pedestrian-oriented areas, all the dark brown are the area pedestrian-oriented, which is mostly in the downtown area, are located, but we are in any future development, we should think about, you know, like not having cul-de-sac and having more intersected street. Here also, we have the transportation alternatives. We introduced, you know, like all the good tools for complete streets and the active transportation facilities. And here on the right, we're showing that the more, if you have like sidewalks, the crash reduction decreased, by 88%. If you have a medians, road diet, pedestrian countdown signals, that's all improving the accident rates, which helpful also for people and encourage people more to walk. So we have a whole section about the complete street and alternative transportation. The next item under healthy is the aging population. And the aging population in Indiana here for people over 65 will represent 21% by the year 2050. And that's something should consider, in planning for elderly people and having also safe routes for senior. And I added here tools, like how to make a safe routes around the area that have aging population. It's showing here the projection of the population for people 65 and up. So for elderly people, we have a significant increase by the 2050, about 121% increase, 2030, 47%. So that's something that should be considered for the future planning. And it's showing here the county that will have more people, elderly people. We have Hamilton County is the highest, Hendricks County. We are in the middle. We are not like we will have still more aging population, but it's not like the central Indiana. Also, we're talking about the school siting, and we see that primary and secondary school have been located away from the population. And that's a major issue when people put a school, they have to think that it should be close to the population as much as they can. And we have a Crown Point here, really as a good example. They are constructing new middle school in their former downtown high school property. And that's really with the highest population around this area. It's a good practice to see that. The example here on the right, showing if you have like a more cul-de-sac, the less connectivity is, and it's not encouraging people to walk to schools. The one on the right here, it's showing the intersected streets, showing less nodes, and that's well connected. And that's the ratio showing like you will double the connection when you have more connected streets. Also talk about safety and sense of security and the Safe Route to School program that we have it here at NERPC, and also talking about traffic calming and showing different techniques that communities should use for traffic calming here, and also talking about the security of your bike, for example, to encourage people to bike, and especially close to transit system, so you could offer a transit locker, and that's encourage people more to walk. We talked also about the transit-oriented development. It's coming, like we have many stations around the existing South Shore station. We're having the West Lake Corridor, which is in Hammond, Monaster, and Dyer. 3 more stations are coming. And also we have some bus stations. So for communities to start to really look in a more serious way at TOD and how to create the right environment and get ready for a TOD. So we are providing tools, we are providing the principles that help the communities to have a successful TOD area. Also, as I mentioned, we talked about the security here. We have to make sure if it's happened, this is not safe practice. And also when we have a transit station in the middle of the block, so we should have like a middle block crossing, and that's a good practice, and encourage cars to slow down for pedestrian to cross. Sometimes they just run, they want to catch the bus, and it's so dangerous. So we have to make sure to have the mid-block crossing here. And we have a different tools and recommendations also for transit safety and security. The next element here is sustainable. So we talk about the urban forestry, and urban forestry here used to describe trees growing within the built environment of cities and towns. And so in this one, if communities wanted to be like become a Tree City USA, what they should do, appoint a tree board or city department to manage the tree care program. And we really encourage every community to do that, as we really, that's having more tree, having more coverage of urban forestry and preserving that, that's very helpful for the air quality. So we provide different tools here for communities to use. Wetland protections. So we talked about the benefits of wetland protection, and also the wetland regulation that adopted by different communities. And if the community did not adopt a regulation, we also provide them the steps how to do that. The next one here is a farmland preservation, and the chart here on the right is showing that Indiana farmland at high risk. Its conversion threat is higher than its policy response. So we have a lot of conversion, and that's also encouraging sprawling. So people turn the farmland into an urban, residential, commercial, or industrial area, and how to preserve that. So we have some recommendations here about and the tools, especially within the Indiana area. And that's based on the land use planning policy. We also talked about the water conservation here and how to keep the best practices for that for individuals and for the communities. I know it's a big report and I'm going on and on, but we have so many elements within this report, and I'm trying to cover as much as I can. Sorry for the long presentation. So also we talked about the urban agriculture, and that's happening in the last like 10, 15 years now, and some communities already start having community gardens and urban agriculture within their high density area. The city of Indianapolis is showing a very good practice for that, and they already have 134 urban and community garden, and also they have more than 20 urban farms. And we have some here. Gary started doing some of the urban agriculture in other communities, and we are encouraging more communities to practice that and accessibility to local food. We also here at NERC have urban agriculture audit tools, and that's to make sure that we have equity, permissible land use, and land access and economics. So these are some of the questions that could help with the urban agriculture. Is it running fast? Okay. The next item here under sustainable, the affordable housing. This is like a very important, like we really, it's a major issue here, especially in Indiana, not just Northwest Indiana, in the whole Indiana, in the whole state of Indiana. So affordable housing is housing to those with a median household income or below as rated by the national government or a local government. By a recognized housing affordability index. The map here on the right, here in this one, the cost of living by county, and it's showing Indiana's shortage of rental homes, affordable and available for extremely low income rentals, negative 127,000 almost. And that's really, we need to work on that. And the reason of that is we don't have, when I looked here at the housing tools, I was looking at the local housing affordability tools by state, and that's for all the states. And I looked at Indiana, here. So the only tool that we're using is the city housing trust funds. We are missing the inclusionary housing. We are missing the rent control, and we are missing vouchers for as source of income, and also the state tax incentives. So we see, like a good number of states, they have all the tools, but we only have one tools, and that's really, we need to work hard, from the state to local level to use more tools to help with the affordable housing. Here also we looked at the housing and transportation costs, and that was using the CNT that they did the housing index affordability, and it's showing actually District 7, which are around Indianapolis and Marion County, and they are really below because they have like a threshold of 45. If you reach 45, that's a reasonable transportation and housing index. District 7, and that's Congress, I think the Congress District 7, they are doing very well, which is 43%, which is below the threshold. We are very close, District 1 here, which is Northwest Indiana, we are 46%. So the cost of housing and transportation is not as bad in our area, but when we look at the rest of the other areas, they really don't have a good housing and transportation cost. So we're also providing some tools here that help communities to start the practice and adding more tools within their zoning for affordable housing. The next item under sustainable is the energy. And the main thing is we wanted to transition to a low carbon community. And every community is trying to work on that now. And to do that, we need to reduce the urban energy consumption and also shift from fossil fuels to a cleaner energy. We have also the Purdue University showing here, like they did a very good job in the renewable energy and showing different tools, which we encourage every community to look at their studies. And also they are showing, like the wind area and where is the concentration of the wind, and also showing the communities that they already adopted a policy of wind energy within the area. Solar energy, also that's something is being encouraged. And here at Northwest Indiana, we had at NERC, we had a study for a solar ready construction checklist, and we offering that for the whole state of Indiana on how to design for solar access, electrical or structure. And we are providing these tools also for all the communities within the state of Indiana. Brownfield redevelopment, that's a huge section. I can't go over everything, but we're doing that. The process is successful. Brownfield redevelopment is to have a good leadership, partnership, and visible redevelopment progress. Also, to start a brownfield redevelopment, we have to remove barriers. And removing barriers, it's start with uncertainty. And in this one, we have to invest more in environmental sampling before we offer that to the developers. Also remove contaminated soil, lead, or before offering a site. Also, the neighborhood opposition, that's a big thing about brownfield redevelopment. So we have to engage them, educate them, and about the best practices and why it's important to have a brownfield redevelopment within the area. That's briefly, but like we have a huge section on the book about the brownfield redevelopment. And then the next element is equitable, talked about environmental justice, the call, all the goals of EJ area and what should we include in that. We also talked about equitable transit And that's a success of a TOD area. If you need to have a TOD area successful, we should consider equitable transit. We talk about the benefits of equitable transit and all the tools that we should include. And as I mentioned, or I'm highlighting here, without a specific equity framework, lower income people near rapid transit will be displaced from this area, which this is what we are concerned about. We talked about the universal design for EDA and other things that we should consider for everyone should be count when we design streets. Also, we talked about transportation projects here, and like poor transportation policy or projects, we will have broken or incomplete sidewalk. That's a bad sign. Roads in serious disrepair. Proximity to heavy transportation corridors without adequate roadside barriers or use of vegetation to improve air quality. So that's a bad practice, and we try to do the opposite or improve our transportation system. And NDOT already recognized the need to integrate equitable transportation within their projects. They talk about, like the Vision Zero, and that's represent a group of strategies that for any level of government they could use. If you have a Vision Zero versus traditional approach, you will have traffic deaths are preventable, integrate human failing in approach, prevent fatal and severe crashes, system approach, saving lives is not expensive. Versus the traditional one. So that's one thing. It's coming now, the Vision Zero, that should be considered in all retrofit or new transportation projects. Also park and recreational, how to be equitable. And as I mentioned, the EJ area tree coverage, here all the dark green area is one missing tree coverage. And again, it's concentrated more in Lake County here and some in Porter County. And that's to be equitable, like we should look at regardless for low income or gender or the type of people or aging, we should have, they all should have accessibility to parks and recreational and also vegetation. So we also provide here some tools for equitable parks and recreational. The next one is a smart cities. As I mentioned, we wanted the Internet of Things, smart mobility, connected vehicles, and micro mobility, and also cell towers. This is like, I don't want to go over all of that, but it's important to have Internet of Things and a good connection within our area because it's good for the government to use that economy or residential transportation and healthcare. Here is the heat map of Indiana, and it's showing here all the aggregated and public activities happening, from connection, internet, cell phones, and it's mostly in the major city, as you see. Smart mobility, here we're talking about the commercial integration of autonomous vehicles, and everyone now is moving to communication and connected vehicle to vehicle or vehicle to infrastructure or vehicle to everything. We also talk about the micro mobility here, and that's referred to lightweight, like scooters, bikes, and different things here, and people use it now as a mean of transportation. And how to have like an ordinance for that, where to put it, what's the best location. You have to have like some sort of ordinance or policy to have like this type of micro mobility. This is very much covering everything on the book quickly, but like the book itself is a huge book, and I maybe stop sharing this, and I'm going quickly sharing again. And so This is the handbook itself. So we have it in a final draft. We try to now view that, review the final book. Will be soon released to the general public to evaluate that, and for you to look through the whole document and review in more details, because it's a huge document and I can't go through all of that. So do you have any questions?
Amen. Mr. George Topple, will the commissioners be afforded a hard copy to look at, or where will that be
Yeah,
available?
we can
for
do it
review?
by request. If anybody would like to have, you know, a hard copy, we could do that.
Okay. I'd like to, I'm old school, so I like paper.
Yeah, that's fine. I know it's overwhelming, but I think once you have the draft and you start looking at the section you are interested in, it will be more easy for you to digest the whole report.
And again, Iman, if when this is completed, will we have training associated with it for the commissioners?
Yeah,
And when would
that's
that
the
happen?
next step. Yeah, that's the next step, and we are planning to have that like in the early next year, 2020, like in January or February, especially when we have new people on board. I think that will be good to have the training.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Iman, I think that was a very excellent report. And any other questions from anyone else on board here? Okay, Iman, does that conclude your presentation for the Sensible Tools
Yeah.
Handbook report? Okay,
Exactly.
and I see you're on board for our next item,
Yeah.
TOD funding program and project update.
Okay. I'm gonna take my breath for a minute, and maybe Wendy, can you talk about what you're doing in your organization exactly, because people get familiar of what you do?
Sure. So Habitat for Humanity of Northwest Indiana serves Lake County. And we are building homes for families earning 30 to 80% of the average median income for the region. Last year we built 5 homes. We had 7 homes on the schedule. COVID slowed us down a little bit. This year we're planning to build another 7 homes and in our across the fiscal year. Yeah, affordable housing, affordable home ownership especially is at a crisis level across the country, has been even before the pandemic. And the pandemic, I'm sure you all realize, has just highlighted that that issue. And so I had, I get the NERC newsletters and noticed that there was a land use committee. I thought it might be a good idea for me to participate and learn about what you guys are doing and how I can be involved. Does anybody have any questions for me about Habitat?
Well, how do we contact you to ask more specific questions about local communities?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Yeah, this is George Topple. I happen to be the trustee for Union Township in Porter County. And I would like to know how we can more understand what we can do to coordinate with you and how we contact you for more information on our local communities to see if there's a good fit for our location for your project.
Absolutely. So I can be reached either through email, which I'm sure you have, dirdev@nwihabitat.org. You can find me through our website, nwihabitat.org. Yeah, I am I would be happy to talk with anybody interested in how they can engage more with, or how we can engage more with your communities. Again, we do serve Lake County. There is a Habitat affiliate in Porter and LaPorte County, and I'd be happy to connect where that is necessary. Finding property to build is probably our biggest challenge right now.
Hi, Wendy. This is David Wright from GPTC. Long time no talk.
How you doing, David?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Do you have any target neighborhoods for the 7 homes you're planning on building this fiscal year?
So right now, the plan, the schedule is, we're finishing up a home in Lowell. We are currently building in Maryville, Lake Station. We will be breaking ground soon in Hammond, in Gary, and it looks like in Hobart as well.
Okay, because some of those areas are potentially transit accessible. So is there a map showing those target locations so that we can maybe even reach out to you if they are transit accessible, and make sure that the new homeowners will know of those transportation options?
That would be great. I'm all about providing our partner families with more information and resources available to them in the communities that they'll be living in.
Right.
So I can definitely share that with you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. Chair, can I start now?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Man, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, yes, please go
I
on
share.
to the TOD funding program.
Yeah, I'm just saying that everyone can see the screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so this one, this project got delayed a little bit because 2 of the staff here at NERC, they left. And, and also we were waiting for the TDD, transportation transit district development by the RDA also to finish the boundary. And so we had a number of factors, that delayed us in this project. However, it's getting close to be completed. I put together here the report, and so it's gonna be released soon too, also for everyone to review. But the thing is, because we are not meeting till like maybe October or November, I have to check the calendar. But that's why I'm presenting both projects to the committee, because the next step after public review will go for TPC, so they can recommend it to go to the full commission for adoption. So that was the only chance in this meeting to present both projects. However, when we release them, you will have the opportunity for public review. So the NERC TOD program or the funding report here, we try to put together a funding program specifically for transit-oriented development because the number of activities we're having here, as I mentioned before, we have almost a good 12 stations between the South Shore existing station from Michigan City to Hammond, and also we have the new 3 stations that is coming at the West Lake Corridor at Hammond, Dyer, and Munster. When we started the project, we wanted really to bring vitality to all of these areas. So it's not only train stations, we also looked at the bus stations. Of course, we have like so many bus stations within the region, especially in Lake County. But, because of the limitation of funding, the train station has already some good funding between the RDA and NICTI, but the bus stations, we try to push for that. We try to have like more funding happening also to support transit or TOD around transit stations. So, so the goals came to start this program as a recommendation from the 2050 plan. And we put a process here to first, identify all the station area boundaries. Within half a mile, we collected transit surface data here for existing or future buses that is coming within the area. We looked at the TOD tools within the region, other regions nationwide that they already have established programs. We wanted to see the good practices coming from these MPOs. So we also did evaluate the existing condition of every potential TOD area or existing TOD area. We developed typologies here for the proposed TOD area that classifies stations area, and to see, if the TOD area ready, for the next step. They need planning, they need to start with implementation and construction right away. And then we finalize the funding program and the eligibility, and then the scoring criteria, we will have it after as a continuation of the book. I think somebody, Meredith, is trying to get to the meeting. I admitted, okay, it's too late. So we looked at the TDD area here that came from the RDA. And the funding specifically will collect funding, from the local tax coming within the area. They are eligible to do that. And they looked at the half a mile within all the stations around the West Lake Corridor and also around the South Shore. So the project area, we mapped all the area, all the buses first, within the area as you see here in the map, to look, how we gonna select the stations, the bus stations specifically. So we did the evaluation, we did analysis, but to do the evaluation, we considered the population density, employment density, housing density, walk score, bike score, transit frequency, and transit ridership, and if the area has a TOD plan already. Out of all the ridership, from the train or the buses, Hammond, Gary Metro, and East Chicago represent almost 73% of the total ridership on the South Shore line in Northwest Indiana, which is very high. Most of the ridership coming from the urban core communities, Hammond, East Chicago, and Gary. So we looked at the transit frequency here, and the blue area here showing along Broadway, which have very high frequency of buses. And also we have here around the V line and the Chicago Dash in Valparaiso. And we considered, this station, we consider also some of the station here based on the density and other scores that is higher than others within this area. We collected all the data here, like the acres, the population, everything about every station that we considered in that. The only thing is a Monster, Ridge Road, Monster Dyer, Main Street Station in South Hammond, because it's a future station, so we weren't able to get any ridership, of course, or frequency, because they are not operating yet. So that's one thing I wanted to give a note about it. And then the next one, we start having the TOD typology here for everyone. So we looked at the land use, and for land use, we looked at the density intensity of the building heights, mix of use, and the setback. The network connectivity, look at the major roads and transit connection trails and railroads. For bike and pedestrian accessibility, the most important is to have like a great street grid system and the small block size. That's showing, like a better connectivity. Of course, we're looking at the sidewalk and EDA consideration or universal design, also the walk and bike scores. So we did that for every station within the study. Public area, we'll look at the parks, open space, streetscape, and parking within the area. So that we did the typology for all of that. We showing some examples, like of successful TOD area, what community should do to have a successful TOD area. Also here we have some charts here showing the every item, the housing units per acres. And we see here that the downtown East Chicago is very high. And also we have the Gary Metro Center, also the housing per acre is very high. The third one here is Broadway and 11th Street. Also they have high housing units per acre. We looked at the, this is like top down population here, and the highest one is downtown East Chicago, then Hammond, Gateway, and then Michigan City, South Hammond, Munster, and so on. And the lowest here is Beverly Shores. This is a number of the population. Employment and housing balance. We try to look into that. And also we see here that the Gary Metro Center have a very high employment, but when you look at the housing is not enough in comparison to this high employment. The second highest one here, we have downtown East Chicago, very high population and low employment in comparison. So this like chart showing the balance that should happen between employment and housing balance. People per acre here showing the high density. And again, also downtown East Chicago is the highest here, and comes Hammond area, also come the second. And then we have some balance between South Hammond and also Broadway, and with 11th Street and Broadway with the 35th or IUN area. Walk score, the highest walk score was at Michigan City, 11th Street. And also we have here the second one in Monster Ridge, and the third one downtown East Chicago. The lowest showing here at Doom Park, Chesterton Station, which they have no population or no sidewalk, nothing in this area. And also we have Portage, Ogden Dunes is the lowest. The bike score the same. We have the highest here, it's showing Monster Ridge Road. And also the second comes Michigan City, 11th Street, and also South Hammond and downtown East Chicago, and Broadway at IUN area. So that's just to give you an idea right away, like how it looks like. And we had to do a classification, a TOD classification, which TOD1, it's usually urban core area or downtown. The TOD2, suburban community, and then the third one is a commuter community. And we describe here with the classification what the land use should look like, the network connectivity, the accessibility, and the public area. And when we did the typology, so we are following that. So if a community or a TOD area is not exactly reach this point, we see how far they are. We evaluated with the, a rough score to see, like what kind of improvement they need. They need to really start the planning, or maybe they need some improvements, and so on for TOD2 and TOD3. Of course, we're showing some consideration for all the area near transit from the zoning, parking, or housing choices. Here, showing again the employment residential comparison in acres. If the green and blue are almost equal, that's showing a good balance between population and employment. Some of them are extreme, like this one, for example, the Doom Park. So it's mostly here residential and employment is very limited. Beverly Shores the same. The good examples here showing like maybe a good balance, Michigan City, here 11th Street, Portage Ogden Dunes, still, you know, even though they don't have that much population, but they have employment nearby. We also have the Maryville Broadway, Century Plaza, which is around US 30. They have a significant employment within the area, but they have no residential. And that's something that they should work on it to have like a more residential in a like an active, high active area of employment like that. So that's also another sort of analysis to show where we are. The graph right away can tell the story. We also put the TOD program. And in this one, we try to look at having the scoring for all the elements that we included. And the green one here showing that they are doing good. They have most of the elements, but that does not mean that they are meeting every single elements. East Chicago, for example, because they have the highest ridership, which is over 1.2 million per year. That's showing it's make the number high and make them green. But here, when you look at the people per acre, employment per acre, it's really is not as high. It needs like a more employment for the significant population that they have within the area. Same for the housing units. They don't have enough housing unit. The walk score is very low. And also, is that I'm looking at the right one? Yes, the walk score and the bike score. So they need to have some improvement. If it's not bold, it means, yeah, they have a good ridership, but they need to work on the other items. So, and that's the green or red or bold numbers showing if it's good or bad or need improvements. So we divided, also we have the investment types, and in this one, we have TOD progressing, and that's is for area that already is supporting high density. They have a mixed use, they have a good connectivity. So they are doing good and they are getting close to be implemented right away. Some TOD emergent, and that's classification. That's help us with the funding, what type of funding they need. This one we can move right away for investment for this area should be focused on improving amenities and urban street living infrastructure. For the emergent area, so they have some of the elements. They already have reasonable population and employment. Maybe they have a TOD plans, but they don't have, we should work on the local market strength, how to attract like more businesses and people. Maybe they need a market study for their area. They also, maybe they need to increase the level of density here or the urban living character. So that's the type of recommendation we will have for every community. And then the TOD restricted, that's usually for all the transit area. They have a very good transit quality and they have a high ridership within their area, but they are lacking the urban character because it's an environmentally restricted area. And that's specifically like the Doom Park in Chesterton. They have all the National Lakeshore, same for Ogden, Dunes and Portage. Also, they have a significant National Lakeshore within the area. So it's really hard to have like a more development. But the type of investment could be, you know, like maybe to have a planning to improve accessibility to these stations, because this is a high quality transit stations. So that's the type of investment. So quick examples here, I'm showing how we analyze every community. That's a Monster Ridge, for example. So we analyze all the land use and network connectivity. We look at the bike pedestrian, showing the network, the street network, if it's strong or you know, is not as strong. We talk about parking and public areas. Here also showing a map showing the yellow is mostly residential, and we see here all the commercial along Ridge Road. So, and I know that they have a plan, they are working in a new plan also to have like some mixed use and integrate some of the services within close to the residential area, not just concentrated in Ridge Road. And then by the end of this one, we have recommendations. I'm showing here what they recommended in the first TOD plan and what kind of funding. So they could move right away to pre-development plan and then capital improvements. So, and that's what we do for every station. Then we have next East Chicago, Roxana area, and also we have what type of recommendations. It's both of them, it's classified as a TOD emergent, so they still need some work. They are not progressing like some other communities. So I'm not gonna go through the whole report, but we also have all the analysis showing the typology for every TOD stations. And I think I'm gonna just wrap my presentation because this is the whole report. I don't wanna go through the whole thing. But before I close that, anybody has any questions?
Hey,
thanks.
yeah, this is David. When will the full report be available?
We are finishing that. We are now in the process to review the Sensible Tools update. And once we are done with that, we release it with the public. We will start the internal review for this one, and right away will be released to the public for review.
Okay, thank you very much, Iman. I think it's a wonderfully well-researched report and well-balanced. I do appreciate the provision of input for us as well.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate your comments always, David.
Okay, thank you, Iman, and thank you, David, for your comments. And are there any further comments? Okay, hearing none, I want to thank you, Iman, and we're going to move on to community updates. I know there are several things going on throughout communities, and perhaps we could start with Nick Beller if he's still on board here. I know that some things were in paper today. Nick,
I think he just signed off about 2 minutes ago.
okay. All right. Anyone else have any updates from their communities? St. John?
No, sir.
Okay. If there are no one has anything to say, I would like to say something about Union Township. I spoke with Mayor Capture Point on the Willow Creek extension. It should be sometime this fall that the decision on the route will be made. I've been getting contacted by developers most recently for rather significant projects. And among those things that they're concerned with is sewers, sanitary sewers for the areas. So I just thought I might mention that, man, because I probably have to coordinate with Hobart and Porter County on those items. But a lot of interesting things going on, including 130 that's going to be closed for 2 months from 149 into Hobart. So those are very significant. I think they're all tying in with the environmental studies on the sewers and water mitigation issues throughout that area. Essentially, that's what I have from Union Township. Is there anyone else that would like to provide an update for their community? Okay, hearing none, the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday.
Before we move on to the next item, Mr. Chairman, if I might, I'd kind of like to introduce myself. My name's Thomas Dow.
Please do.
I'm the new transportation director here at NERPC. This is my 3rd week here, so I'm still getting my feet wet. But just so all
I'd
of
like to
you,
meet you in person very soon.
yeah, I would enjoy meeting everybody on this committee as well. Hopefully we'll be able to do that much sooner rather than later as well. So just to give you a little bit of background, I spent most of my career working in Kansas for the state of Kansas. I worked for about 5.5 years for the Kansas Department of Commerce, and I worked for about 15 years with the Kansas Department of Transportation, where I provided state oversight to the MPOs and did a few other things as well. That is actually where I met our executive director, Ty Warner. He had been the executive director at the Flint Hills Regional Council while I was at KDOT. During my career, I've also worked for 3 cities, 2 of which were, fairly small cities of about 10,000 people. And I worked for 1 large city of about 135,000 people. And I worked for 2 consulting firms as well. So that kind of explains my gray hair a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to throw that out so I could get to know you guys a little bit, and so you could get to know me a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing us up to date on it. And if you'd like to, several people have my personal cell phone. I'd like you to give me a call because we'd love to be updated with you very, very shortly and before our next meeting. We've
Okay.
got,
Yeah.
Much to discuss. Okay, thank you very much.
Great.
Is there any other business? Any other comments? Okay, the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, November 4th, 2021, 10 a.m. And I don't know if that's going to be in person. I keep thinking they're going to be, but if not, whatever way it is, we're looking forward to seeing one and all. God bless. And meeting without any further ado is adjourned. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Everyone have a great one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.